Yeah, well, I've been just puttering around here in the camper. I've lost my hair clippers. It's a good thing I don't have much hair left, I guess. But I've lost my hair clippers. I gotta find them. I got the box for them, but not the hair clippers themselves. So I need to find them. But I took the propane tank out from in here, and I took the heater out tomorrow. Well, maybe not tomorrow because I'm going to be working tomorrow. But at some point soon, I'm going to have to rearrange all this stuff, sort it all out, and get it all straightened out. Anyway, what I want to talk about, though, isn't that so much, but I've been thinking a little bit about globalism and about some of the catchphrases of globalism: equality, inclusion, nobody left behind, build back better. These are all globalist catchphrases that we've all heard them at different times. I want to do a little interpretation for you. I want to translate globalism or the globalist language into the language of the common man. That's what I'm going to do now. Let's look at the first one, which is inclusivity. We'll say, oh, you know what, equality. We'll do equality first. Of course, equality means everyone will be equal. And I think there was a lady that on YouTube did a video, and it was on YouTube for a while. It's disappeared. I haven't seen it in a long time. I wish I could find it now. But she was a lady who would be my age, and she grew up in the Eastern Bloc. She grew up in one of those countries. I don't know which country it was, if it was Poland or Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia, or I don't know. But she grew up in one of those countries anyway. And what she said is, we were all equal. You know, under communism, everybody's equal. And she said that's actually true. We were all equal. We were all equally hungry. We were all equally poor. We were all equally uncomfortable, you know. But we were all equal, you know. I wasn't any more hungry than the guy standing beside me, and he wasn't any more hungry than me. We were both hungry, you know. Anyway, that's what she said. She said we were all equal, though. Well, you know, so that's equality. And that's the globalist version of equality. You will be equal. You will be equally deprived. You will be equally unmotivated. You will be equally experiencing hardship. You will equally experience all the negative things, you know. So yeah, equality. So they kind of tell the truth on that one, but not in the way that they kind of make it sound nice, but it really isn't, you know. The next word I'll talk about, let's see, we did equality. What's the next one? Inclusion. Inclusion. Yeah, inclusion's kind of a nice word, isn't it? It's kind of nice to think that everybody will be included. Hey, I'm taking y'all out for ice cream. Everyone's included. Come on, everybody, let's go get ice cream. We'll go down to the park and eat it. You know, we'll do a video. Yeah, everyone's included. That's pretty nice, isn't it? I wish I could do that, actually, but it would probably bankrupt me. And I'm kind of bankrupt already, so probably not a good idea. So don't hold me to this. I'm just using this as an example. But anyway, still, it sounds nice, inclusion. We're going to include everyone. Everyone's going to be included. Yeah, that's all right in a case like I just talked about. You know, we're all going for ice cream. It's not so great if they're shooting people. We're going to kill everybody today. Everyone's included, you know. So it's all in the context of the word, really. And what they have planned for us is they're going to include us in a system that we don't want anything to do with if we have any sense. We don't want it unless we're completely devoid of any knowledge of what this system will actually look like. Unless we just believe the propaganda and don't look any deeper than that. Inclusion. That's inclusion for you. Build back better. This is another one, build back better. And of course, what we're seeing right now is we're seeing the tearing down. Because if you want to build something, you got to tear something down. Back in the early 70s, when I was a little boy, I remember there was a house down the street from my grandparents. There was actually a couple of them within a couple of blocks of my grandparents. This wasn't unusual back then. There was a couple of houses that were derelict houses. They were abandoned. One of them was on the corner, just down from my grandparents' place at the corner of Wilson Street East and Halton Street. And then, if you went through that intersection, that house was on the right if you were heading towards the downtown core, basically. That house was on the right. If you're heading away from the Scotch line and towards the downtown core, that house was on the right on the corner of Wilson Street East and Halton Street. Now, if you continued down Wilson Street East, there was a house on the corner on the left, on the corner of Halton and Wilson. It was actually kitty corner to the derelict house I just spoke of. The derelict house was known as Mattie's house because the old lady that had lived there and had long since died, her name was Mattie. Anyway, and the forest around the house, because there was a forest all around the house, on that whole block was just trees, except for the house. The forest was called Mattie's Bush, so make your own dirty joke if you want to. That's fine. Anyway, Mattie's Bush, we called that. Anyway, Mattie's husband, I heard, liked to spend a lot of time in Mattie's Bush. There you go. I just give you a start. Give you a template for a joke. Anyway, but if you went down, there was a house on the corner, and beside it, there was another derelict house. And that was to your right. So the house on the corner was kitty corner to Mattie's old house, and then next to that was this derelict house. Well, my Uncle Bill, my dad's brother, and his wife Irene, my Aunt Irene, they bought that house. Now, that house wasn't livable, and it would not ever be livable. But they tore it down, and they built back better. You see, they had to tear down what was there first, though. They couldn't leave what was there standing and then build, because where are you going to build? You know, you can't build on top of what's already there. So they tore it down, and they built a house. And they still live in that house to this day. You know, my Uncle Bill, he's gone completely blind now and everything, and it's really sad to see him that way, you know. But he and Aunt Irene still live in that house that they built back in the early 1970s. I remember when they were building it. I remember the house that stood there. I remember the process. I remember seeing it be torn down in stages. And then I remember seeing Uncle Bill's house and Aunt Irene's house coming up. And I was even in that house a few times while it was under construction. I actually walked through it a few times when there were no interior walls or anything, when it was just all plywood and 2x4s, you know, inside of it and stuff. Anyway, getting back to the story, though, see, they built back better, and they actually did build back better, because they took a derelict house that wasn't livable, they got rid of it, and they put something that you could actually live in on top of it. That's not the kind of build back better the globalists are talking about, though. The kind of build back better they're talking about is the kind of build back better where you won't own a house. You won't own a house. How are you going to own a house? You won't own anything. You own nothing and you'll be happy. That's what they've told you. You know, that would include real estate. You're not going to own real estate. Forget about it. They get their way. You will not own real estate. They will own the real estate and they will rent it to you. They'll be your landlord. If they want to be. If they choose to rent it to you, they'll be your landlord. Anyway, that's build back better. Tear down what's already there and put something else there. But they say build back better, but they don't specify better for who. People just assume it's better for us. It is not. It is not better for us. It's better for them. Because they're going to own everything and we'll have nothing, and we'll have to go to them with our hat in our hand. Anytime we need anything, we'll be like the little boy on the old Dickens novel there, you know, with the soup bowl or whatever. Please, in the orphanage, you know, or a workhouse or whatever it was. Please, sir, may I have another? You know, and the big fat guy standing there that run the place, you know. You know, I mean, please, sir, may I have more? You know, more, more. You want more? You know, that's the position we'll be in. We'll be dealing with that guy. We'll have our little bowl there. We'll be looking up, say, please, sir, you know, and he'll be saying, more. You want more? You know, that's what we'll be dealing with. So, you know, get it right. It's not going to be better for you or I. It's going to be better for them, not for us. Anyway, build back better. That's quite a term, isn't it? Build back better. You know, I like the way they use language. I have a real appreciation for language and for a good use of language. So I kind of admire their use of language, these people. You know, catchphrases and stuff. But I don't admire their intent, you know, because I know it's coming from a bad place. Anyway, build back better, yeah. So what have we covered now? We've covered inclusivity. We've covered build back better. I can't even remember now. Well, there's a few of them anyway. Like I say, I don't have a great short-term memory these days. But there's 3 of them right there for you that I've interpreted. I've changed, you know, I've interpreted them, translated them, I guess you could say, from elite globalist to common man, you know. Yeah. Anyway, inclusivity is quite a thing, eh? We'll all be included. You know, nobody left behind. That was the other one. Nobody left behind. Yeah, nobody's going to be left behind because they're going to drag us into this new system. You know, they're not leaving anybody behind. Everybody's going to be drugged into this new dystopian system that they have planned for us. So there you go. There's 3 different catchphrases or whatever, you know, phrases that are used by the globalists. And there's my interpretation of them just as a common man. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you take it to heart because it's the truth. You know, none of this is good for us. When my Uncle Bill and my Aunt Irene built the house, when they tore down that derelict house and they built their house where it was, they actually did build back better because they took a property that was unlivable and they turned it into a place you could actually have a home and raise your kids and have a life, you know, which they did for a long time. And like I say, they're old now and they're not doing very well, especially my uncle, but they're still there and they're still having their life there. You know, whatever's left of it, they're having it there. And so they actually did build back better. And see, the thing about the common man, which kind of sets us apart from these globalists, is that we do build back better. The common man, if he builds back better, he literally does build back better. He tears down the shack and he replaces it with a house. He takes the land that has nothing on it to live on and he builds a shack and he lives in that. When he's in a better position, he tears down the shack, he builds a house. When he's in a better position, he tears down that house, he builds a better house. That's what the common man has always done. That's the American dream, and actually it was the Canadian dream too until fairly recently. You know, this was the thing. You know, you work hard, you apply yourself, you do better, and you get better. You know, you start out with nothing, and you got a shack, then you got a little house that still isn't much, but it's better than the shack, and then you got a really nice house because you worked hard and you did what you needed to do. And you built back better. That's what you did. We never used that phrase, of course, years ago, but that's what we did. Anyway, says the man living in a camper in a field. Anyway, the bottom line is, though, this is what they did. They built back better. The people did that, the common people. You know, when there was no way to move goods and people across the country, what did the common man do? He built a railroad. You know, when mail wasn't able to be delivered, the common man, He got the post office going. You know, and had mail carriers on horseback. In the United States, they called them the Pony Express. Those were all just common men riding horses with mail, you know. They used to get targeted for robberies and everything else. It was a hard life. A lot of them died on the job. But they made the country better through their efforts, just the same. And that's the thing about the common man. When we build back better, we actually do build back better. These bozos we're dealing with, though, now, these globalist type people, no, they don't build back better. They build back better for them, not better for you and I. They build back better for that tiny little minority that's sitting at the top. They build back better for you know, Al Gore, John McCain, you know, Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, you know, Doug Ford, those types of people. They build back better for them. They don't build back better for us, sadly. Anyway, I'm going to have a look at that propane tank over there because I'm smelling propane. I had a problem with the valve on that tank when I disconnected it, so I have some concerns about it. Let's have a look and see here. Oh, we got to turn it around there. Well, it's turned off. Okay, there's on. There's off. Okay. Well, I think it's okay. There's still lots of propane in it. I think I'm just smelling from earlier because it did all fly out of there earlier. There was a lot of propane went into the air. There's Rocky. He's got his bandage on his leg there and stuff. He's fast asleep. He's pretty cute, isn't he? He is. Anyway, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, take a page from Uncle Bill and Aunt Irene's book and build back better. That's all. Don't build back better the way the globalists are telling you to. And don't fall for the lie because they don't intend to build anything back better, at least not for you or I. All right. That's it for now. Rocky and I will see you another time. Bye-bye.